Street names in Sheffield that perpetuate racism will not be replaced despite the strong feelings of residents. This is according to the City Council. Now, it follows a review which involves Sheffield Council, Sheffield Museums and the University of Sheffield and Sheffield Hallam University, and was presented to the Race Equality Commission earlier this year. So the review found that there are features across the city which perpetuate racist, outdated and uncomfortable messages. This includes Canning Street, named after George Canning, the former Prime Minister who campaigned against freeing slaves, while Gladstone Road is named after William Gladstone, obviously, another former Prime Minister whose father was one of the world's biggest ever slave owners. Here to discuss, along with my panel, is Benjamin Loughnane from the Bow Group. So thank you very much for getting involved. Now, what's your take on this? You must be able to see why it offends some people.
Yeah, I just think that after a certain point, you know, we need to just say, look, this is history, and you see these names and stuff, and you just sort of leave it alone. You go, OK, there's good bits, there's bad bits, but that is the story. That's what happened. That's how things progress through time. And, yeah, we've moved on. Some of those things were bad, but they're not still happening. If they were still happening, yeah, sure, I'd say maybe we should do something about this. If we still had slaves in Sheffield being traded in the market every week, we might say maybe we should do something about the problem with slavery in Sheffield. But there doesn't seem to be a problem with slavery in Sheffield at the moment, so maybe just let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, OK, fair enough. I mean, I suppose another way of looking at it is that actually it helps educate people that this was part of Sheffield's history. This was a part of our history as a country. This was a part of some of these people's history. And if those names go and you just replace it with, like, Bobbins Road or something, then it doesn't matter anymore, does it?
Well, exactly, yeah. You educate people by keeping it there so that you can say, look, this is there because of this, part of history. And, you know, I don't know, put a plaque next to it. Say, you know, this road is named after this guy who was a bit of a rogue, and we don't like him anymore.
Bit of a rogue.
Bit of a rogue. Bit of a ruffian.
Bit of a rogue, one of the world's largest ever slave traders.
What a scallywag.
Bit of a rogue.
What is he like?
What's he like?
What is he like?
You know, he was a nice guy. He was fun at parties, but goodness me, the stuff he did pass out.
Slaves.
Yeah, gosh.
Too many drinks.
But seriously though, look, I suppose some people might think if they found out that they come from a family that were victims of the slave trade and they live on this road and they've got to walk past this sign every single day. Do we care about their feelings?
I call it a victory. You live on the road where he was, you know, he's no longer... that trade is over, you know. In a way, you've won that battle already. I don't know.
Do you think, just in a wider point, and I mean, look, it's important to say as well, isn't it, that we're not exactly the, you know, it's an all-white panel, isn't it? We're not necessarily the target audience.
You don't know how I identify.
Well, no, I can guess so. but yeah, no, we're not necessarily the target people who will be, you know, offended by this stuff. Of course we wouldn't be, but, you know, I am concerned at a wider sense of cancel culture, you know. There was people who, I think, occupied a town hall because I think it had Lord Nelson's statue on it. And they occupied that for 190 days, demanding this statue went, which it hasn't yet. And I thought, get a job. You know?
Yeah. No, it is ridiculous. It just feels like these people have too much time. They're going back like 500 years to find things to be annoyed about. Maybe you don't have enough things in your actual day-to-day life to get annoyed about. Most people actually have real problems to deal with, and they don't have time to go back 500 years to find problems. But I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Well, maybe. I don't think it's that. I'm going to throw it over now. I've got two esteemed panellists here as well. Steve, you go first if you want. What was your view on this? Should we just do this? Should we just get rid of them? Why do we care if they're still there? Is it not easier for us to just remove these signs?
No, because then it never ends. The problem is it would be then defined by someone being offended by it. Who gets to work out whether someone's offended? It's an individual choice. Then, you know, to what level of scrutiny should you have to go? That you could find one person in the whole nation who doesn't like a particular street name, therefore we must change it. Whereas... I'm not incredibly sure that it is a great teaching aid. I think it's almost the other way around, that just because a street's called something, no one cares of its backstory. And if you have to Google something to work out why you should be offended, then you're probably not offended.
Well, if you surveyed every single person on Gladstone Lane or whatever it was called, I very much doubt they'd all have a clue about who he was or what happened. But Leo, your views?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're already rolling a dice when you order something from Deliveroo anyway. So if we start changing street names or house buildings, oh my God, I'm never going to get my Chinese meal, if I'm allowed to say that. It's ridiculous. Where does it end? And the actual pub they're talking about in Linlithgow in Scotland, it's not named after anything to do with the slave trade. It's named after a greyhound.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I know, the greyhound had very progressive views on transgenderism.
Well, this is exactly one thing I want to come back to shortly. You've slightly jumped the gun because we are going to be coming back to exactly what you were alluding to there. I was going to say a particularly offensive pub name, but I mean, it's that question of, well, what are you offended by and is it offensive at all? But we'll come to that shortly. But there are a lot of road names, just to begin with, up and down the country. Black Boy Lane, for example, was one that I believe was changed, actually, recently. You know, do you not think... Well, I mean, that was presumably, you think that was out of order as well, do you?
Well, Black Boy Lane, I think, was actually named after the, one black slave boy or servant in the castle, and it was almost an honorific. It was, you know, he was so beloved in the town that when he died, they named a road after him. I don't think that's them saying, you know, oh, we hated this one person in the town who was black. It was quite the opposite. It was we welcomed him into the community, and, you know, obviously it's a part of history. But, you know, would he want it to be renamed? You know, there's no way of asking him. I think just leave things as they are.
Do you think there's a potential for a wider societal thing here now? If we create a situation, I'm certainly worried that we're already there, by the way, which is that you cannot see or hear anything that causes you any offence whatsoever without wanting to rip it down, cancel it, tear it down, never look at it again. I should be completely blinkered from anything that could cause me any kind of visual or verbal offence. We can't live in that world, can you?
No, we'd have nothing left anyway. I mean, you know,
No.
because everything can be... You can find offence in literally anything.
Sometimes I'm offended by myself.
Yeah, I wake up sometimes.
I look at it and go, goodness me, Patrick, what was that?
Yeah, you wake up after a heavy
There's
night.
Steve
you
in
know.
front
Look
of you,
at
spread
you.
eagle.
Oh, it's the
Made a
third
mistake.
time, you know, and I think, yeah, no, sometimes
Keep
I have
going
to
back.
cancel myself.
Yeah, no, I think that people should cancel themselves more often, and then
Yeah.
we can all die, and it will all be over. We won't have to have this conversation anymore. Great.
Well, yeah, I had somebody came to see my show in July. A comedy club just received a complaint email about me. Somebody came to see my show in July, said in the email, we saw him in July, he was horrific. I came back to see him in October, he was still horrific. Why did you come back?
Yeah,
That's
go
the
back.
question I want to know.
There is an option of not going back.
Yeah,
Don't
these
have to buy a
people,
second
I'm
ticket.
expecting to see them again tomorrow when I do my show at 6:30 p.m. at Top Secret Covent. You can pick tickets on the website.
So where was that?